The epic saga continues with the C1000. So, Carlos has requested a beard trim. So, Carlos, would you walk me through how is it that you would like your beard trim today, sir?
Yeah, I like to have it kind of fade to a point where it's shorter around next to the ear, and then fading into which is the larger part of the beard, and the mustache.
All right, cool.
So you're gonna have different thicknesses along the beard.
Sure, but blended in, right?
Correct,
Obviously,
correct.
Shorter, starting from the sideburn, kind of
Correct.
blending into a longer length here.
Correct.
And
correct.
what about the mustache? Are we trimming the mustache at all for you?
Yes, usually my wife likes my mustache to a point where she's able to see my lips, and I think that's a very critical part for most men, because most females like to see men's lips. So
Okay.
I'm assuming as you know, part of myself as a man. And,
Yes.
And you know, my wife explained to me how she does like that part.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say yes, trim around above the lip part.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to begin here. And that is very sweet and kind and considerate of you to consider your wife on how we're going to wear your beard today. That is awesome. And that is good advice for our viewers, our gentlemen out there. Always groom yourself in accordance to how the ladies want you to look, okay? So that's good education. So we're going to begin by kind of fading this in and using a larger length, kind of blending this in and just cleaning them up off the lips here. So I'm going to begin with an Andis Master here, and this is a cordless clipper. I have my own opinion about these, but for demonstrational purposes, I'm not going to insult them. But apparently, they are great clippers, and we're about to find out. So I'm going to start on the sideburn area right here on an open guard, and I'm just going to blend this just a little bit there. And I'm going to stay at this point right here, and then I will close my guard just a little bit, just to make it nice and close around this area, because this is going to take upon a blended effect, and it's going to get longer as we go. And at this point, I'm going to lift McFlying's head up just a little bit, and I'm going to do a little bit of freehand right here, clipper over comb freehand, just to remove a little bit of bulk around this corner here. And usually for most gentlemen, a lot of length doesn't need to come off when it's their goal to have a longer tapered length around the goatee area. A lot of length does not need to come out of this area, and defining and cutting lines in is what really gives everything its shape. And sometimes it has the tendency to bulk up because this is where his jawbone is, and the jawbone pushes hair out. So this is where we do a little bit of blending here. Clipper over comb, blending as you can see here. And then at this point, I'm going to start marking my line, and just to kind of give it some definition, and I'm going to be changing clippers. So this is kind of an edger right here. This belongs to Mariana, very fancy, very pretty. So we're just going to lift up just a little bit, and we're just going to keep his line right where it is, and we're going to give this some definition. And I'm following the line that has already been established. So I'm just going to go with it here. And the rest is going to be coming off with some straight razor shaving. And I'm going to pull his ear. Notice how I pull his ear just to kind of get that corner there. That way, if I don't pull his ear, I don't risk hitting the clipper up against his ear. Pull his ear, stretch his skin. See that? There we go. And then I'm going to lower his head just a little bit here. And Carlos, we're going to curve this down just a little bit here, right?
That's correct.
All right. So I'm just going to curve this just like this. And I'm using the clipper more as just kind of foundational, just to kind of set lines first, knowing that I'm going to use a straight razor to give it some more definition. So I'll be turning them this way here, and we'll be doing the exact same thing on this side here. Using the Andis cordless once again, and I'm just going to be blending in what is considered bulk in this area right here. Kind of bulky here. I'm going to close it up just a little bit. And I'm just going to be eliminating bulk at this point with the intent of getting longer. So it's going to get shorter here, almost bald here, and then blending into a longer length here. Carlos, if you'd be so kind to lift up just a little bit. So the exact same thing on this side. I'm just going to be removing bulk from this jawbone corner here. Just removing bulk. And if you notice, one more time, sir, just a little bit higher. Thank you. If you notice, I haven't worked too much on this area yet, and I'll talk about that a little later. But what I'm going to do is just I'm going to establish some definition using a trimmer here. Definition, once again, I'm following this natural curve that he already has established here. Clearing that out a little bit. Lifting up just a little bit. Thank you, sir. And just getting the lines nice and defined here. Nice and defined. And his throat line here has already been established, possibly for weeks and months. So basically, this is the easiest part for a barber to just kind of retouch what's already been established. And knowing that I'm going to return with a straight razor to finish this off, for now, I'm just establishing length and lines and definition here. So this is the part we were talking about where he likes to keep it nice and long. So I could either use a nice little guard to kind of just guard and not go too short, which I will do first. Right about this area right here. It's not taking off much. If you can tell, I'm just going over it here. And it's not taking off much, but it is trimming it down a little bit. If you don't trim it down, you're at risk within a few days it just gets too profusely long and it'll start looking stringy. So it is good to just bring it down just a little bit. There we go. Thank you, Carlos. You can drop your head here. So after that, his mustache area, what we're going to do, I'm going to ask my patron here to close your eyes, Carlos, if you'd be so kind. And I'm just going to clean up a little bit of bulk on the mustache area here. I will be using a comb to guard me what I'm doing. And asking your customer or patron to close their eyes is wise, because at this proximity to the eyes, it's dangerous when hair is just kind of flickering. And you don't want to get hair in their eyes. So I'm using a little bit of clipper over comb, as you can see here. And just bringing it down a little bit here. There we go. And of course with the neck duster, we'll be removing this excess hair. And just always be considerate of their eyes, nose here. Just like that. As you can see there, maybe just a little bit more here. There we go. And this area right here tends to bulk up. So I'm just going to close that and just take a little bit of bulk off of this right here. Just a little bit. And this is freehand work right here. There we go. So back with my cordless here, I'm going to be giving some definition here. And I'm going to go over the top. And if you notice, I'm only going to use this part of the clipper's blade right here, this edge right here, to get as close as I can to this area right here. As close as I can there. There we go. Now I'm going to use the fullness of the blade to give them a nice line around the lips there. There we go. And I'm going to move over here. And same goes on this side, except it's reverse. I'm only using this little corner right here just to touch this area as far as it gets up to his nostril, his nose here. Just like that. And then just a little bit here. There we go. So I'm going to fade this in just a little bit more. And I'm going to double check my work. Lift up again one more time, sir. Thank you. There you go. And we're going to be coming back around with a straight razor. But this is just the very basic of just giving it somewhat of a light trim here. Okay, so Carlos, we're going to get ready to give him a nice clean throat shave here. And I'm going to use my old-fashioned shave brush here just to kind of soften up his skin. Now that's the purpose of shaving cream, is to soften up skin. And we're going to be applying a nice hot steam towel. And we're going to soften up his skin. He's going to relax a little bit more. And we are doing the ultimate pampering on our friend Carlos here. Okay, Mariana, are you ready to place that hot towel over his face here?
Sure.
Let's do it. Go right ahead.
Ooh, hot.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if this is too hot, okay? It might be a little. Are you okay like that?
Yes.
Yeah, he's fine. That's nice. See, this is the most relaxing thing about the facial shave, or even though it's a beard trim, to do some shaving around the throat line, around the curvature of the cheek, and of course, the most difficult area is over the mustache, nearing the nasal nose area right there. So I'm going to use the towel to kind of put just a little bit of pressure there, release, pressure, release. And of course, you did really well by not allowing this to touch the lips, because that's very dangerous, right?
Right.
Okay. And at this point, I think this is a good spot for him to just relax here for a moment. There we go. And what I usually do, and this is for students out there, and I highly recommend this, even though your customer or patron is in relaxation, I like to let them know what I'm doing. And that's for the purpose of, so even though they're relaxing, they're kind of falling asleep at this point, they can still hear you, they know what's going on. I like to tell my patron that I'm going to be lifting their chin up a little bit more, that I'm going to be turning their head from left to right, and they'll follow along. And I think it's very good, because if a customer has the idea that he has to sit still out of fear that if he moves you'll cut him, you relax them by telling them they're at some point you're going to be moving their head from left to right. I believe that's really good. Okay. So I'm going to remove the towel, and I'm going to leave it. I'm going to cover his eyes with that. That way he can relax there. Make sure his nose is able to breathe here a little bit. And I'm going to apply a little bit of more shaving cream here. Now, Mariana, when you start a beard trim shave, where do you like to begin? I'm just curious.
I usually start on the cheeks.
On the cheeks?
Right.
Okay, cool. So, I'm going to place this blade here, and I'm going to ask Carlos to turn this way here. And this is something that you can do gently and delicately here, okay? So, as you can see, I'm removing the shaving cream with my thumb, like that. And you can just place it on the towel. And I'm going to go downward first. And I'm going to be stretching his skin. And I'm going downward here. This is the coolest part about the beard trim, because this is where you're going to get most of your definition. This is where the lines are going to come in nice and crisp and clean. Again. And just go over it there. Now, Mariana, to my understanding, his throat line is a little sensitive. Could you tell me a little bit about sensitive throat lines?
Well, it can be, you know, their skin is too thin, or their hair is too thick.
Yes.
Sometimes when the hair is too thick, it's a little bit harder to get that soften the hair.
Yes.
And that's why they get a little bit of irritation. Now, if your clipper is too sharp, you got to be careful with that too. So
Okay.
that's basically what it can get more irritation on the skin.
Yes. Very good. So knowing that, that's really good information, because people's skin, it has different levels of sensitivity. Some people have some nice rough skin where you can go crazy with them,
Right.
and it wouldn't matter. Wouldn't make not a bit of difference. But sometimes some people just have more sensitive areas. So I think it's considerate and kind to take it easy your first couple times shaving a patron's beard or head, to just take it easy, take it slow, and be considerate. And sometimes even asking the patron, hey, do you have sensitive skin? Is there certain areas I need to be aware about?
And sometimes they tell you too. They'll tell you without you having to ask them. Again, you know, you got to make sure when you're applying the shaving cream, you know, examine their skin, make sure it's not, you know, they don't have bumps, they don't have, you know, something that you can cut along the way.
All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, Carlos, I'm going to be turning your head this way here. See, he's pretty relaxed at this point. What do you think, Mariana?
You can relax your head back. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So I'm going to come from this side here, and I'm just going to come down with it here. Going down, pushing any excess shaving cream, stretching the skin, and coming against the grain here. Usually the cheek area is a pretty good area to do some work without worry of any kind of sensitivity. But I still recommend going down first and then coming up against the grain. Unless you're absolutely confident, you can do so. So again, we're back at this area, which tends to be sensitive for some people. And I'm going to ask my patron to lift his chin up just a little bit more. There we go. And him lifting his chin up more actually helps you stretch out the skin. So it is very helpful when your patron is able to aid you in stretching out the skin. Very gentle, very soft here. And knowing how does it go, Mariana? Some hair grows this way or grows that way down around this area.
Some hair grows down, some hair grows up. Usually from the neck, from down to up, usually goes up.
Okay.
So
all right. So I'm going to shave upward with it.
Your comfort level. That's where you.
Because sometimes if you shave too aggressively against the grain, that's when you'll start seeing little blood spots.
Right. Especially if they have sensitive skin.
Okay.
Now, what do you do? You know how a lot of men have this right here?
Yeah.
The way I do it, I usually move this to the side. I don't know, some people do it different.
Yes.
But that's what I do.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
How do you do it?
Yeah, so for a lot of people, this is a very frightening area because this is the Adam's apple. And of course, you don't want to be running no blade over no Adam's apple.
Right.
But what they taught me in school was to stretch the skin so the hair that once is over the Adam's apple is now on this side.
Right.
That looks way more safe, and I think that's awesome. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push it this way. And this is very educational and helpful here because this is a very frightening area for many students and even some barbers still. I'm going to go the other direction here. See what's there on the Adam's apple is now here. So I'm just pushing it another direction. And just taking it very carefully. Stretching the skin to the point where it's at another direction. And your Adam's apple remains over here, and the hair that needs to be shaved is now over here. And maybe a little bit of moisture. Sometimes just kind of wetting your hands here a little bit is helpful. Just to moisten this area here, as you can see here. Just a little bit of maybe more shaving cream or a lubricant of some sort is very helpful. Just to go over it one more time. And I'm going to go straight down with this one. Straight down. Carefully stretching the skin. Not going over that Adam's apple too aggressively. And I'm almost kind of like double checking my work here. There we go, stretching the skin. And now that I'm got kind of comfortable, I kind of get the feel of his level of sensitivity. I feel I can redo my work, go over it a few times. There we go. So now this mustache area right here, this is another difficult area, and sometimes it's good to lubricate it a little bit more, but I'm going to leave it dry for the time being, and I'm just going to see how his skin reacts to this. Gentle razor work over that carefully, because what happens is if you use too much shaving cream, too much lubrication, you're covering and you can't see what you're doing. See? Sometimes a customer will catch wind of this area here, and as you can see, Carlos, he tightened his upper lip for me. Some people will do that, some people won't. But in this case, he's well aware of this difficult area here. Coming on this way here, turning his head that way. And then maybe just pulling his nose up this way. And just coming down. Coming down with it. There we go. Just trimming that down. Just like that. So, I'm going to use this towel to kind of just cover his skin once again, because at this point the skin has been warmed up. It's a little warm, so this towel is nice and cool here. Nice and cool. And what this is going to do is going to cool his skin down a little bit. And I think we're going to throw in one more towel. Okay, Carlos, so this next hot towel is extremely hot, so brace yourself, okay? Here it comes. How does that feel there, sir?
It's hot. My face is melting.
Okay, Carlos, I'm sorry if the towel's a little too hot. I'll remove that now.
Give me your clothes, your face, right now.
Cremita, yeah. And just make a movement. And are you catching that? Catch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I just need to see what the lighting looks like from that point of view.
Hey, no smacking.
And if you're able to catch anything.
Oh, yeah, that's good massage. Yeah.
You can act too if you want. So, yeah, stop. You're already arousing. All right, let's see.